All right, let's dive into one of the biggest questions out there for any workplace today. What really makes the new generation of workers tick? Today, we're going to try and decode the mindset of Generation Z. And to do that, we have to start with a huge concept made famous by the psychologist Carol Dweck, the growth mindset. Basically, it's the belief that your talents and smarts aren't just fixed things you're born with. It's the idea that you can grow them through pure dedication and hard work. This mindset totally reframes challenges. They're not threats, they're opportunities. And you can bet this kind of mindset is absolutely critical for the future. So, here it is, the million-dollar question for every boss, every teacher, every leader. As Gen Z starts to fill up the workforce, are they bringing this growth mindset with them? To answer that, let's first take a look at what Gen Z believes. We're going to dig into what this generation says about how they approach learning, effort, and all that good stuff. And what's so fascinating is that if you just ask them straight up, the answer you get seems to be this huge, confident yes. On paper, at least, the data looks incredibly optimistic. For example, take a look at this. It's data from a recent survey of high school students in Russia. They were asked, hey, what's more important, actually learning something new or just getting a good grade? Well, those giant bars on the right tell the story. A huge majority said they prioritize real learning. I mean, on the surface, that screams growth mindset, right? And the evidence gets even stronger when you flip the question. When they were asked if they'd rather get high marks than actually learn something, almost everyone shot that idea down. So if you just go by what they say, it really looks like Gen Z is totally primed for growth and ready for a challenge. Okay, but this is where our story takes a sharp turn. We're moving away from what they say and looking at what they actually do. And folks, this is where we find a really surprising behavioral twist. And this brings us to a super important point. I mean, surveys are one thing, but what happens when you take these beliefs and put them to the test in the real world? You know, when the grade, the effort, and the risk of failure are actually on the line. So researchers set up 3 really clever experiments to find out, and the results were, well, consistent. First, they gave students a choice between a hard task and an easy one. And get this, 37% of the students who swore in the survey they'd pick the hard one actually chose the easy option when it came down to it. Then, they were invited to a tough logic competition. Only a tiny 14% signed up. Most just said they didn't have the skills, completely overlooking the chance to grow. And finally, for a history project, they overwhelmingly stuck to topics they already knew, instead of exploring something new. A pretty clear pattern started to emerge. And right here, this is the core of the conflict. The stated belief is all about valuing challenges and seeing them as a chance to grow. But the observed behavior? That's all about playing it safe, taking the easy route, and avoiding any possible chance of failure. This disconnect, this is what researchers call the say-do gap. So the next obvious question is, why? What's behind this contradiction between what they say they believe and what they actually do? Let's try and understand it. Well, the research points to a few powerful things. 1, they're smart. They know the right answers to give on a survey to impress people. 2, it really shows a classic fixed mindset fear, the fear of not looking smart. That fear makes them avoid any task where they might stumble. 3rd, there seems to be this deep desire for what they call an economy of effort. Basically, getting the most bang for your buck with the least amount of work. And finally, some researchers believe this could be part of a bigger cultural trend, something they call infantilization. And this whole economy of effort thing, it's not just in their schoolwork. It's so ingrained in their thinking that you can actually see it in the very language they use to talk to each other every single day. This table is a perfect example. Check out how Russian teen slang has evolved. The original Russian words on the left can be pretty long and have multiple syllables. But the English-derived slang they've adopted on the right, it's shorter, punchier, way more efficient. So, nastroyenia becomes vibe. Doказательство becomes proof. It's like their language itself is taking a shortcut, reflecting that very same cognitive drive for simplification. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. There's a gap between wanting a growth mindset and actually behaving with one. So what's the fix? How can we bridge this gap? Well, the answer might just lie in a really powerful concept called job crafting. And to get what that means, let's use the famous old parable of the 3 stonecutters. So a traveler comes across the first one and asks, "What are you doing?" And with a heavy sigh, the man replies, "I'm carrying a heavy stone. It's the 273rd one, and there are still so many more to go." You see, he only sees the tedious task in front of him. Then he asks the second stonecutter the same question. This guy looks kind of detached and just says, I'm waiting for this day to end so I can see my family. For him, it's just about the paycheck. It's just a means to an end. But when he gets to the third stonecutter, the man's face just lights up. He answers with this incredible passion. I am building a divine temple that will remain in history. Same task, same paycheck, but a totally different mindset because he has connected his work to a greater purpose. That third stonecutter, he's a natural job crafter. He has instinctively figured out the power of job crafting. And that's all it is. It's the idea that you can proactively make changes to your job, to the tasks you do, the relationships you have, and the very meaning of your work to line it up with your personal goals and values. And this model here breaks it all down. You can craft your tasks. That's called professional crafting. You can craft your relationships at work. That's supportive crafting. But the most powerful one of all is existential crafting. That's where you proactively connect your day-to-day grind to a deeper sense of purpose. This is how you stop just carrying stones and start building a cathedral. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important idea. The growth mindset isn't something you either have or you don't. It's something you build. It's all about creating your own opportunities. As the entrepreneur Chris Grosser famously said, opportunities don't happen. You create them. It's a complete shift from just passively waiting around to being an active, creative force in your own life. Bruce Lee put it even more bluntly, to hell with circumstances, I create opportunities. Now that is the ultimate expression of a growth mindset, refusing to be defined by your limitations and making the decision to actively shape your own reality. So we'll end with this question for you to really think about. Look at your own work, your own studies, your own projects. Are you just carrying stones, or are you building a cathedral?